What's the best way to talk about a large-scale urban realm project with 650 homes for this site in 4 minutes? Probably to get straight into it. Our story begins with an observation. While cycling to the Love Grangetown event in October of last year, I stopped and paused to take in the scale of construction happening on the eastern bank of the river. Concrete towers loomed large and cast a shadow deep into Grangetown, as the city was on the rise. My questions about how this was allowed to happen were provoked by the residents of Grangetown at the event, amplifying concerns over the rapid vertical rise of the city. The people of Grangetown were fast becoming isolated and divided by the river. They were, in Tim Marshall's eyes, prisoners of geography. This provocation promoted a question for this thesis. In a challenge to the notion of value in large-scale housing developments, can housing design smelt harder for the people and communities who live and work within them, and deliver value to its inhabitants over value in profits by putting the provision of homes firmly in the hands of the state? Standing as the last bastion of low-rise development along the river, the Currans factory on the eastern bank of the Taff has been approved for development with a £1 billion master plan for 2,500 homes by developers Vastint. A detailed analysis of the plan was carried out, drawing positives and negatives from the proposal, but three main issues became evident. Firstly, the overshadowing of neighbouring communities by towers measuring up to 80 metres. Secondly, the incredibly low provision of on-site affordable housing at a rate of 5%. And lastly, the absent nature of craft in the proposal. During the primer exercises, an understanding of the old industrial nature of the factory was undertaken, resulting in the creation of a foundry which helped conclude on the craft that can be found in mass-produced elements. This crisis of quality seen in the proposal was a nationwide issue and was stemming from minimum space standards that were adopted as gospel by the volume house builders across the country. Set against the backdrop of a housing crisis, or rather a housing catastrophe, the problem has surpassed breaking point as hundreds of thousands wait on housing lists and many more are forced to live in substandard homes. It is time for a new approach. As a creation of this thesis, a new housing policy was outputted. The Social Housing Contract aims to provide a new start for housing. Named after the social contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, it too aims to bring basic provisions to all citizens in the form of good quality housing with a vigorous framework to do so. In the spirit of wholesale change, it was time to bring about a new vision for the current site for people living in the city. Following an interview with my great-uncle who used to work on the site, the cultural significance of the factory was clear. What did that mean to the people, the community?
It meant life. There was life there. Life, and now life is dead. That was life. I mean, because social side there, everything they wanted to put bread and butter on the table was there. To sum it up, nobody starved in Grangetown. They were all fed by Cardiff, one way or another.
On this basis, elements of the site would be retained for new uses, reinvigorating the factory once again. Iterations of designs began to emerge, first in theories such as Scarry's beauty and justice argument, a sense of traditionalism in housing inspired by Crusoe's tyranny of the new, and Gates's proposition that beauty is for everyone. Vigorous testing was carried out at macro and micro scale, which eventually led to the creation of the proposal for 650 homes across a series of terraced housing squares and street apartments in a new configuration of urban living that maintains a familiar feel. I welcome you now to the Currans community. Perhaps you've just moved into your home, or you're simply passing through, but join me for a journey through the familiar new. Maybe you're heading to work on a spring day, and as you leave home you walk down green streets lined with homes filled with activity. The urban squares are a busy spot and take a second to navigate the morning commuters. You drop the children off at the school and head to the tram for your day at work. After a day in the city, you've decided to take the aquabus home. Getting off at the stop, you walk along the market bridge and admire the work of local creatives. You stumble into a public green space, stopping to watch an impromptu game of footy before heading back to the house. As you open your front door and head into your house built by CLT apprentices, it's cooled by the spring air and filled with moments of value. Whether it's the coat hangers in the wall and the bench to take a perch, or your light well flooding the centre of your house, it's a house that can support home. You open the dining room window and sit to read a book on the windowsill whilst keeping an eye on the children, watching them play with their friends from the street across in the public garden. This is the Currans community. This is a new way of living in the city.